We are here with Dan Monson, the new head basketball coach of Eastern Washington. We really appreciate his time today. Mr. Monson, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I just look at my picture in the thing. I look old. I want to take the video off there. But I look better. I feel better than I look. So
most definitely, I like to hear that. Coach, we'll just get right into it. Let's get a little background about you and like who you are.
Well, I was kind of born into this, so to speak. My dad was a coach, and I idolized him. He actually, it's ironic, but when I was born, he was a head basketball coach at Cheney High School here where Eastern Washington is located. And then his best friend was Judd Heathcote, and Judd would always get him or ask him to be his assistant. And when he went to Michigan State, my dad became the assistant at Michigan State when Magic was recruited in his freshman year. So I went 9th and 10th grade in East Lansing, Michigan. Then he took the head job at his alma mater, the University of Idaho. So I graduated from Moscow High School in Moscow, Idaho, and went to college there. I was actually a better football player than basketball. So I was on the football team at the University of Idaho, and I was on 3 kickoff teams my freshman year. Tore my second ACL, and knew more about basketball. And at 3:00 when it was time for practice, I got bored and would start attending my dad's practices every day, and kind of got the bug of, what he was doing every day. And like I said, I idolized him. And so that's kind of how my background of how I got into coaching.
Most definitely. Okay, so I want to kind of take it back a little bit. Let's go back to like that 90, I want to say 90 kind of 6, maybe on a couple things, okay? Were you the one that hired Tommy Lloyd?
Well, that's, kind of. So yeah, I would have gone anywhere to get Division I, and actually Gonzaga ended up being. I did summer camps there and got to know the head coach from camps, and so I got on in like early '90s at Gonzaga as an assistant coach, and kind of worked my way from the second assistant to the head assistant to the head coach in waiting. 2 years they promised me the job out in '97, and so one of the things in '99 after we had the Elite Eight run at Gonzaga, and I took the Minnesota job in the summer, I'd made some promises out there. One of them was a kid named Kyle Bankhead, who is now an assistant coach at San Francisco as a walk-on. Scott Snyder was my DBO at Gonzaga at the time, and I didn't really have room to take him with me, so I got Mark Few the job at Gonzaga. And so those are 2 of the things that I told him that, if you could honor those commitments. And the third and final one was a young guy named Tommy Lloyd, who was Jeff Reinman, his JC coach, and I knew each other. Our moms actually grew up together, and he asked me a favor about a young guy that was playing professionally overseas and wanted to come back and get his master's if he could be a graduate assistant, and that was Tommy Lloyd. So, of course, Mark was excited to get his first head job. He would have agreed to marry my sister if I wanted him to. He just wanted the opportunity to be a head coach. So he obviously was said yes on all 3 of those promises. But about 2 weeks after I'd gotten to Minnesota and we were kind of debriefing about our 2 jobs, he said, "Hey, tell me about this Tommy guy that's hanging around now. What did you promise him? I don't remember what you told me." And I said, he's your graduate assistant. He said, "Oh, okay." And Tommy got his foot in the door there, and obviously he did the rest. But yeah, so technically, I guess I hired him.
Most definitely. So you are the originator of the run that everybody now knows as like the regular Gonzaga being in the tournament every single year. I kind of feel I'm a '98 baby, so like I don't remember Gonzaga not being good in my lifetime. Like I don't remember Gonzaga not being in the tournament. I don't remember them so kind of explain like that time, that 98, 99 season. What was it about that season that made it so special? I guess the 98, 99 season that made it so special and made you guys able to make that type of run that you guys did.
Yeah, I am the Zag father. I am old enough to say that, I give myself that nickname, the Zag father. But yeah, it was a labor of love. It wasn't just I become the head coach and all of a sudden Gonzaga takes off. It was a process. As I said, I think in '96. Ironically enough, I was offered the Eastern Washington University job. So you do the math on that. That was over 30 years ago. And I came back and I told Dan Fitzgerald, the head coach, and he was also the athletic director, that I was going to take that job. And he said, no, you can't do that. You're going to be the next coach here. And I said, well, I think I'm ready now. I've been an assistant for him for, I think, 10 years at the time, or 8 years. And he said, well, what if I coach 5 more years and promise, and we put in writing that you're the next head coach? And Fitz was a really hard charging, very, very demanding boss. And it was kind of like dog years. And I'm like, doing the math, 5 times 7 is 35 years of being an assistant again. I said, I think I'm going to take this job. He said, well, give me 24 hours. And he went home and talked to his wife and talked to the president at Gonzaga, Father Coughlin, and said that, hey, and if you'll stay 2 more years, we'll announce now that you're going to be the next head coach here. And I said, hey, I'm in. So it really started. The 99 run really started in about 97 when we started recruiting. Casey Calvary was my first recruit, and he was a legend in that 99 run. And we had, but Mark and I and Bill Greer, who was the head coach at San Diego, and I was assistant at Colorado. The 3 of us lived together, and we didn't grow up coaching together. We grew up living together. We lived together for about 8 years. Mark's dad married all 3 of us. We're in each other's weddings. We would work together. We would play together. A few would always call it a trifecta. We'd have to get a trifecta every day. We'd have to do 3 different activities, whether that's go for a run, play tennis, shoot hoops, go golfing, whatever it was. We had to get 3 activities in a day. And we worked real hard, but we played hard. And that's kind of been Gonzaga's motto ever since, that players always talk about working hard, studying hard, and playing hard. And, when I took over, it was really 98 was probably had a better team my inaugural year as a head coach. We won the league and really had some great preseason wins. It was kind of before they had the net, before they had the RPI. And we got left out of the tournament, and those guys came back with a chip on their shoulder. And 99 was the team that won the first game in the NCAA tournament for Gonzaga. And we didn't win 1, we won 3, and got to the Elite 8 game. And we were 2 baskets away from beating Connecticut, who ended up winning a national championship. And that was 98 was the last year that Gonzaga didn't go to the tournament, and 99 was my last year at Gonzaga. So it was very. I always say, my only regret in coaching is that 99 team happened my second year as coaching, because I didn't realize how hard it was, just how great of a run that was, and I didn't enjoy it like I should have. I really took time this year in the NCAA tournament to really savor it and enjoy it, because I know how hard it is to get there now, and what a special a season it is when you get to the tournament.
Yes, I'm so glad that you brought that up. I kind of want to transition into the Long Beach State and the Minnesota time. What did you feel when you first went in? What did you think was going to be the toughest challenge for you, and what was it once you came out the tail end of it?
Well, first at Minnesota, I thought the toughest challenge was going to be to win the NCAA championship. I really took that job thinking that, if we just did what we were at Minnesota with better players, we could win a national championship, because I'm coming off of an Elite 8 run on my second year. And again, that's how I think that was the thing that I hate to say it, but Mark Few and Dan Monson and Bill Greer were cocky. We were young. We thought we knew what we were doing. We weren't humbled, and that cocky attitude got us players. It got us wins. It really catapulted Gonzaga's legacy and small thinking, small Catholic school was no longer there. We thought big, and we recruited big, and we won big. So when I went there, I thought the biggest challenge was, just to do this at the next level. And yet, when I got there, the biggest challenge for me when I got there was handling everything outside of coaching. And that's why I think Mark Few has stayed at Gonzaga, because at Gonzaga, it's still a mom and pop store at heart, and you don't have the media obligations, you don't have the booster and fundraising obligations. You're focused. Mark still is a basketball coach. He doesn't get caught up. I don't even think he has an email address. He doesn't get caught up in all this stuff. He's about winning basketball games and fishing and spending time with his family. And he can do that at Gonzaga. You can't do that in Minnesota. And so that was the biggest adjustment for me. And I got humbled there quickly and got overwhelmed by things outside of basketball. When I got to Long Beach, I would say, to answer your question, the biggest thing is I thought I could turn Long Beach State into Gonzaga, in the LA area. You have players and all that, but there's only one Gonzaga, and that's a unique niche that is hit, and they've been smart enough and good enough to keep it that way. But I was never able to, I had Casper Ware and James Ennis and some NBA guys in 2012, and we got close to a top 20 team and won the league 3 years in a row. But sustaining it is what Gonzaga has done. It is, I think we got to another level like we did at Gonzaga, but what Mark Few has done to sustain Gonzaga is unprecedented. There's not been a mid-major or really any school in the country that I don't think anybody else has gone 25 straight years. If they have, it's maybe, Kansas and, just a handful of schools that have a lot of resources.
Okay. I want to get into obviously Eastern. I got one more quick question for you. I've seen your Dan Levitarge, when you were on the Dan Levitarge show, and I really enjoyed the humility that you had and just the grace that you showed in that type of situation. When you were at that last season at Long Beach State, do you just have do you have a feeling? Do you know this could be the last season, or are you thinking well, we're just gonna go through, we're gonna push through this season, the next season's gonna be the season? What are your thoughts?
That's of all the interviews I've done since that's probably the best question that anybody's asked me about it, because it was a range of all those things. It wasn't just, I obviously, and people ask me all the time, do you regret leaving Gonzaga? And I think that's the most ridiculous question that people could ask is well, if I had a crystal ball, do you think I would have, and thought that you could sustain it for 25 years? No, I wouldn't have left, I don't regret it because I don't live my life that way. But no, they asked me, I guess, if you saw this coming, and nobody saw it coming, what Gonzaga did. And I guess I didn't really see what was coming, but I intellectually knew that my contract was up at the end of the year. And I knew that we had a new AD, and I knew that after 17 years, the change is inevitable. So, I think I knew that it was coming, but I didn't really accept it because, as you said, as a competitor, as a young 25-year-old cocky guy at Gonzaga, you don't beat that clear out of a guy. I just figured I had a good team. I had one son playing for me, one working for me. I was enjoying the year. We were having a good year. We had beaten, we're the only team in in the NCAAs to have a true road win at a Big 12 school. I mean, a Big East school, a Big 10 school, a Pac-12 school. We beat USC on the road. We beat DePaul on the road. We beat Michigan on the road. So we had probably the best preseason I'd had in 17 years. And we were, in third, fourth in our league, the whole league. So I felt like we could go in that tournament and win. And when they told me they weren't going to renew me, the week of the tournament, I wasn't surprised, but I was like, I guess, disappointed and kind of at a loss. So, again, I just felt like I promised myself when we talked about going and having that run in '99 to just that I would cherish any moment I had. And so I had 1 week left with everybody, and as it turned out, I wouldn't trade that job for those 2 weeks for anything in my life, because when you're with players every day and you're holding them accountable and you're disciplining them and you're pushing them, you don't know how they really feel about you, And when they went to that locker room and told them that they weren't going to have me back next year, and players crying and players, telling you they love you, that to me meant more than any job. And so I just took that week then and just said, okay, this is going to be the most fun I've ever had. I love these guys. They love me. We're going to go out and just cherish every moment together. And for them to say, we're not going to be done in a week, we're going to go to the NCAA tournament, we're going to keep this going. To me, that was the most rewarding thing in my whole college basketball career.
I think it was really cool how the players rallied around you. You could tell that they really loved you. And just really, because they could have mailed it in. They could have been like, all right, let's go get this next coaching staff in here. Let's go hit the transfer portal. But they stayed, they just showed the locker room that you have around there. And I just thought that was really awesome. Okay, so I know I just said one last thing, but one last thing, like 15 seconds, you brought up USC, the whole situation with like Bronny and everything right now. When you were scouting USC and Bronny, what did you see?
Well, I saw it coming. That again, I kept telling our guys, just looking at their schedule and what they said his timetable was, I kept telling them, Bronny's going to debut against us. You guys know that, right? And I said, it's going to be a zoo, and your guys, and they're coming to, I kept telling them, you're the Washington Generals, and my guys didn't know who that was. I had to explain to them that's the team the Globetrotters would just beat up on and make fun of every game. And I said, we got to get our act together, because we're not going to be the Washington Generals. We're not going to go in there for their party and them be throwing the buckets of confetti at us and holding the ball, in their jersey and all the things the Globetrotters used to do to the Generals. And our guys really take it personal, and to have LeBron sitting not just courtside, but dead across from our bench, and to be able to watch him, not cheer for, but admire our guys and admire how we played. And the coolest thing about that is that once we won, LeBron, and I think it was just probably the most secure way to get him out of the building, but he went by our locker room, and we were waiting because, at the visitors, they got to get the right code to get you into your locker room. And we're waiting in the hall, and he came by and he congratulated every one of our players. And the coolest thing, the last guy he dabbed up was Marcus Sahonis, who had about 28, 30 points or whatever. And he said, you were the boss today. And something really, really complimentary. And it was another highlight of my career is that game, because everybody respects LeBron and Bronny for how they handled his circumstances, his health, and to be a part of his comeback was truly a great day for all of us. And to be able to win the game just really solidified, a memory of a lifetime.
I see. I'm a little secret. I'm a Laker fan, so I like LeBron right now. I was not a fan of LeBron before he came, but I admire greatness. I do like greatness. All right, let's talk about Eastern real quick. Let's talk about the whole situation there. What are you looking to bring? What type of culture? Are you just going to pick up off of where Riley left? What exactly are you looking for?
Well, again, what I learned the last couple of weeks at Long Beach State is I'm 62 years old, and I thought I would want to go to 65 to retire. But what COVID told me and what last year told me is I still know I want to coach. I still know I want to compete. I still know that I have the energy to be around these young guys every day and make them better players and better people. And I wasn't ready to quit. And that was one thing that I appreciate that Long Beach State, actually forced me to look inside myself and figure myself out. And so, it was ironic that, how as life does go in a full circle, I'm now about 14 miles from Gonzaga's campus. I was born in this town. My wife and I both are fortunate enough to have our parents living in Spokane. Both our dads are in their 90s and our mom's in the late 80s. So we're coming home. And I think what I want out of this is the fact that they've won 4 championships in the last 5 years here. This is a good basketball program. And yet, I want my legacy in this area to be, somebody that took both Division I basketball programs in the Spokane County to NCAA tournaments. I want to be known as a not just a good coach in this area, but a great mentor for college basketball, and somebody that started Gonzaga and somebody that finished elevating Eastern.
Okay, so if there's a player out there listening, what type of player is Eastern looking for?
Well, the refreshing thing about Eastern, and this is, my first week here, we brought in 4 players and all 4 of them signed, because I think the reason is because recruiting here is simple. We don't have NIL. We don't have great weather. We don't have the beach like I had at Long Beach. We don't have maybe the women walking around campus in shorts in January or February. Don't come here for anything unless you want to get a good college degree and become a good Division I basketball player. We have an opportunity here to come in here and showcase you and become a better basketball player at a very good Division I school. We have a chance to go to the NCAA tournament and win our league, but don't come for any other reason, And I think that happened to me some, and it was kind of refreshing to recruit that way, because there were some kids, I think, that came to Long Beach because it was a spectacular place to hang out, spectacular place on a Saturday to go to the beach or to entertain, spectacular. My son, who's still back there, he's gone to, I think, the Angels twice this week, and I think maybe a hockey. I mean, you can get to LA, to the Clippers or the Lakers or to the Dodgers or to the Anaheim Angels within 30 minutes. There's a lot to do. And there's not a lot to do in Cheney, Washington, except become a better basketball player and get a college degree.
I agree. Eastern is such an amazing place. My dad got his criminal justice degree there. I love Eastern.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, so it's just I got an affinity for Eastern. I worked for KH2 for a long time, so we did a lot of the Eastern games when you guys are on SWX and stuff like that. So I think Eastern's an amazing place. I got a couple more just for you real quick. I know you kind of talked about NIL. I know here we're having a problem with, we just had, I'm forgetting the kid's name right now. He just went to Tennessee last year. He was a really good player out of, he was in the Big Sky Conference last year. I'm forgetting his name. There's been multiple of those this year where there's been a lot of players where they're getting plucked off, like the Steel Ventures or like those types of, how does Eastern protect their players? Like, how do you foster a good community that players want to stay?
Well, you're not gonna. I mean, Still Venters was one of the, he came here as a walk-on, and the job that they did to develop him into, somebody that I know Mark Few at Gonzaga thinks is going to be a great player for them. you're not going to keep them all. That's not our job anymore. Our job is when you have them here to make them the best basketball player they can be, and to live in the now. You don't know what next year is going to entail, and for some of them, last year's team was 16-2 in the Big Sky Conference. Their coach, catapulted him to the Washington State job, and 4 guys went with him. They don't 4 starters. So, congratulations to those 4. They feel like they're in a better situation. But I think what you have to do, and again, at Long Beach State, we had 4 guys going to the portal after I left there. One's going to Louisville, one's going to Xavier, one's going to Oklahoma, and one's going to SMU. And I'm really proud of that. Those guys had no NIL last year. There was only 3 teams in the NCAA tournament that didn't have NIL last year. I believe it was Long Beach State, Yale, and Stetson, maybe, I think, is what I've been told. So, you can't control that. What you can control is, make it hard for them to leave because they love the place. Make them hard for them to leave because they believe you're the best coach to develop them, and that as I tell them, I'm not interested in NIL. I'm interested in your career. And guys are taking NIL right now, and they're making $100,000 for a year, and now their role has changed, and they don't have an opportunity to flourish in their game. And now for the next 10 years, they're gonna bounce from country to country, be 40,000. Whereas hopefully at Eastern Washington, if I can develop them, instead of making 100 this year, the first year out of college, they'll make 100. And the next year in college, they'll make 200 and so forth. And look at the long term of their career. And because that's, as I tell some of them, you should pay me instead of us paying you, because I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you in your career, not this is an internship right now, and you can make more in your internship, but you want to make more in your job, I think, then this is a good place for you.
I agree. I do think that I think NIL has gotten out of hand, especially more recently. That's just my opinion. I don't know nothing, but a couple, just like maybe 2 personal questions. What are like, if you are on a night out on the town in Spokane or in Cheating, what is Coach doing?
I'm with my family. I love, that's the coolest thing is I got a lot of family in the area. I got a lot of people that graduated from here. I'm going to have my parents there. My dad's 91. And it's a big deal to get him out and go out in the town. But I did go to Jack and Dan's with them last Friday with my parents. The first time I really had gone out. And it was really cool. Jack and Dan's is a signature bar, across the street from Gonzaga's campus. That John Stockton's dad originally started, and now his Jeff Condell, his teammate, runs it. So there's, this, for me, there's not really going out. It's just sharing time with family.
I see. Okay, last one, and then we will wrap this up. What is your definition of success?
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's taking a basketball team, okay, and not just getting to the NCAA tournament, not just winning a championship, but as I tell them in recruiting, taking young men and turning them into grown men, young men that come in that are can take care of themselves, and leaving as young men that can take care of a family, that can take care of a wife, that can support kids, and can think about other people besides this themselves. I mean, we all go to college, and all we're worried about is what we have to do and what we need to do, and hopefully they can leave there saying what they have to do for their family. So, I think I've had a successful career, but it's not done yet. There's more people that I want to impact. It's this area, it's just great to be back in it. It's great to impact Spokane again. Spokane is one of the best basketball communities in the United States. It's not just Gonzaga. It's not just Whitworth. It's not just Eastern Washington. They've got Hoop Fest. They've got a lot of NBA guys and players out of here. Hoop Fest is one of the best 3-on-3 tournaments in the country. And it's just a basketball crazy community.
I agree. I'll be back in town for Hoop Fest. I just got my tickets a couple days ago. We have Dan Monson, head basketball coach of Eastern Washington University. Coach Monson, I really appreciate you for doing this. It means a lot.
You got it. Great to get to meet you, John, and we'll stay in touch.
Yes, sir.